just spoke with her, so she must be about to.
Okay, and Anthony Witherspoon?
He said he was going to join at 6:10.
Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have quorum, so we'll just go ahead and start with the beginnings of the meeting, and then they can add on later. So at this time, well, ask everyone to please, keep yourself muted so we don't have any background noise, and then we'll go ahead and identify you if you need to speak and turn on at that time. So at this time, we usually start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So you can all turn on your mics and say the Pledge of Allegiance with me, and we'll go from there. So I pledge allegiance to the United
To
States,
the flag.
United States,
to the republic for which it
For which it
stands,
stands, one
one
nation,
nation,
under
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 God,
God, indivisible,
liberty,
with liberty
liberty
and
and
justice.
justice
and
for all.
All right, great. Some quick housekeepings. I know that our current council members had received the November minutes from Dan earlier. I didn't see any emails with any questions or comments. Is that correct, Dan? Are we good with the minutes?
That was correct. There were no additional comments.
Okay, so all the council members that approved the minutes for November, say aye.
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 One bit of housekeeping, Marcelo.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to make sure, former Commissioner Rosario, I think we cut her off last meeting. She didn't have enough time to speak. Will we give her time today if she's on the meeting? I don't know if there's a certain amount of time we're giving Hernan, maybe parliamentarian. There's a certain amount of time we're giving everybody to speak. I just wanted to clarify that before we went forward.
In public comments, we do try to restrict it to 2 minutes per person in the public comments phase. If we have any specific discussions or visitors come on, then we usually allow a little more. So we can, deal one by one, but usually the public comments, we try to keep them at 2 minutes.
All right.
Okay. So again, I just do it this way, make it simple. Any nays for approving the November minutes? Hearing no nays. Okay, November minutes are approved. We'll go ahead and file those. Now this is the opportunity for any council members to add or modify any of the agenda items. I'll start real quickly. I think we just made a typo error about the Grovile item that was supposed to be on discussion also. So I'll go ahead and add it in. Anybody else have any items they want to move or remove or change from the current agenda item? Please speak up. Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. On the housekeepings, there was an item here put on for organizational effectiveness, revising standards of operation and procedure. Is that something that I'm not sure which council member added that onto this, but that's something that we
Excuse me, Marcelo. I don't know if you can see it, but Josh Abril has been waving his hand. He wants to say something.
No, I think hey, Josh, are you just saying hi to the people going by your place or what?
Yep. Yeah. I'm just waving at traffic. Sorry.
Yeah, he's waving at traffic.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I thought he was ordering a beer.
Yeah.
He's selling pies. You selling pies?
Yeah, he's selling pies.
Prepare to save one.
Love it. I love it.
Okay.
And about to go about.
So about the issue or the item on the agenda about reviewing standards and procedures. I believe it was myself that put that on the agenda in reflection of where we stand as a new council with a lot of newly elected members. In the course of the last 30 days, there's also been 2 resignations from the board. And so that's going to prompt additional steps. We need to make a motion on what is going to happen as far as replacement of those 2 candidates. And so at this point, it's basically going to mean that there are 8 new council members on the board, many of whom have never served on a board. So we think it only makes sense to get board training on what it means, how to effectively run meetings and conduct the level of work that we want to do. So that is, you know, also pertaining to basically setting some level of statement, you know, of standards of operation and procedure to hopefully make our work a little bit more efficient, right? We also discussed probably having a some form of retreat, board retreat in early 2022, either in January or February. That will hopefully be facilitated by someone. We're looking into that with the aim of basically setting the goal for what our agenda will be for the next year, right? We think that this would be a proper way of beginning to set the tone for how we're moving forward over the course of the next 4 years, and so that we can, you know, happily, you know, step up to the plate and do and serve the role that we were elected to serve. That's my time. Thank you.
Okay, great. So what I'll do is, in case, just to remind everyone, you know, the website that we have, the front page, usually, not usually, always lists the agenda items that are coming on for this meeting, as well as the link to the Zoom, which we're going to try to start doing physical meetings coming beginning of next year. I'm going to go through, you know, what I do to try to make this efficient, because we always try to keep a strict timeline and cover all the issues. I'm going to continue with the agenda. Just note that today's agenda is a little bit different in normally, because we decided to identify a lot of the items that many of the committees are going to be discussing and taking on initially. These are some of the items were kind of left over from last council, and some were added. So if you're looking at the agenda, this is not going to be a full-on detailed conversation about all these items, because we would be here for hours. It's more about an announcement of what the items are. There will also be a public comment phase right now if people want to add any other items. Then what we do is we assign them to the correct committees, and then you know, do the research, talk to the residents, talk to government, and then bring them on in detailed subject items in future meetings. So just to be aware, we're not going to be diving deep into these things, because there's way too many things on here to dive deep in today. So continuing, there is a section called announcements, where in our agenda, we list all the upcoming meetings. Feel free to look at those on our agenda. They usually have some live links that'll be on there on our website. And those are great meetings for you all to see where all the facts from the city, and usually items that we pick up also. So at this time, if there's any, we have some new business issues, discussion items. If you don't have those in front of you, please pick them up from our website. But at this time, we like to take on some public comments. And the public comments would be anything that any of the residents want to make a comment on that are non-agenda items. Okay, so we'll get to the agenda items as we get to them. But I'd like to open the floor to anyone who can either wave, or you can click the icon hand to raise your hand, and I'll pick you guys and try to speak. You know, at 2 minutes.
I think Joshua wants to say something.
Sorry. Yes. Sorry, I wanted to come off mute just because I'm waving at everyone. I didn't know if you guys would know if I was waving at you. So I wanted to say, because obviously I'm sitting out I'm on Oak Avenue, as some of you might know. I mean, obviously I'm sitting out here every day, and I know that they've been making a push to drop the speed limit on a lot of the roads around here. 25 miles an hour. It's just something, because I see I've been watching over the last couple of years, you know, everyone's speeding. I know this isn't the village council's issue, but it's not people doing 30 that are the issue, it's everyone doing over 30. So it's like, right at this point, dropping the speed limit, I mean, because more and more people are diverting US 1 and Bird Avenue, coming down Oak Avenue and further into Center Grove. And, you know, they're doing 40, 50 past my house. It's hard to see the stop sign down the street, because there's some trees that leading up to it. So you'll just see a lot of people, they'll notice at the last minute, try to hit the brakes and realize they're not going to stop in time. And that's just all families crossing right there. I mean, I'm right across the street from the school. So we have they're dropping the speed limits, but we don't have anyone out here enforcing those speed limits. You know, and So, but meanwhile, and this is a bit of a Karen thing of me to do, but you know, it's meanwhile you got parking authority driving by every hour on the hour, and I mean sometimes it is, you know, I'm guilty. You know, it's sometimes it is people stopped across the way to come pick up pie, but I've seen them harangue the pool guy for the neighbor who had parked up there for a minute, and their lawn guys. You know, it's things like that that are very practical for us neighbors that live across the street at times when it's not an issue for anyone. That said, they're nowhere to be found during school pickup hours, you know? So it does seem a little
John,
biased.
if I may, so we had this was quite an issue brought on that took a couple years. And the city and the county, you know, working in tandem to issue all these signs. It took 2 years for them to not only mandate that all the interior streets will be 25 miles per hour, but also then it took about another year to physically put the signs up. And when we complain about the exact same thing, until those signs were posted, is when now supposedly the city of Miami is supposed to increase enforcement, and now they can enforce better because it's all properly posted at a lower speed limit. So I think we can have the transportation committee, you know, follow up on that next phase, which would be now enforcement. Now that the signs have been up and done, but that's been across the board from north, south, and east and west Grove. And I think that, you know, now that they have the posted signs, we should be able to, you know, now put some pressure on the policing of it. So that's what happened last year.
But Joshua,
Okay, definitely.
Joshua, serving on that committee, I can tell you that the point is well taken. Because whether or not the new speed limit has been posted, the existing speed limit, you know, should be enforced regardless. So yeah, we'll be looking into that. Thank you.
Copy that. Just as a last note on the matter, because I'm not the only neighbor on this street that brings it up, and a few of the neighbors have talked about presenting the idea for speed bumps, just because it has steadily been getting worse and worse as traffic piles up on Bird and US 1 and people look for diversions. So I just wanted to put that out there. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
Yes, Marcelo, I have one. This is
Okay,
Joyce
Joyce.
Nelson. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
At the last city commission meeting, they talked about the redistricting, and Hank wrote a wonderful story in the Spotlight about it, because they're looking at the Grove and they're looking at breaking us up. And I think we need to be vigilant about keeping the Grove together and being on top of what's happening. And I appreciate y'all's help in that.
Absolutely. Yes, that's a great comment, and absolutely, I got a call from Commissioner Russell. We have to really be diligent on that and fight that. So we will, I'm sure we'll bring that up and work on a resolution internally to pass that down. I see a hand, a young Rosario. There you are. I got
Yes,
the
I'm
names
here.
there. Go ahead. You're next.
Hi, Marcelo, thank you. I'm here to talk about Grovile with a couple of my clients, because this project has been hallmarked with irregularities in permitting from the very beginning. The way that plans have been approved will permanently and negatively affect the quality of life, not only of the current residents of Grovile, but for all of us in the Grove. As you may know, my firm represents residents in Grovile who are here tonight, who oppose this development as currently approved. The project has been shrouded in secrecy from the very beginning. Just to give you an idea, it was approved without a single public hearing or any public input. In fact, it received a dry zoning approval from a dry run zoning approval from the city 2 years prior to the island residents even knowing that there was going to be a project. Although Grovile was man-made in the 30s, it was not until the 70s when a developer showed interest in it. And years of negotiations among the residents the mainlanders, Joyce Nelson was part of it, civic organizations, the city of Miami, and the original developer resulted in a landmark settlement agreement and a covenant running with the land, which restricted the density and required lush landscape, as well as a very specific orientations of the towers to reduce light and noise pollution to the mainland. So at that time, the island was built to capacity. Now, these amenities that attracted these residents to buy there are all gone. They have been completely wiped away. The clubhouse, the world-renowned restaurant, the spa, the 50-room hotel, the dissolution of the long-standing covenant has now alarmed my clients, and rightfully so, regarding life safety and quality of life threat to them, as well as to the mainland residents.
Correct. Rosario, if I may,
Yes.
just for 1 second.
Sure.
Absolutely. Just trying to keep on the time frame here.
Oh,
but
okay,
No, so yes, that was one of the items I was going to bring on. That
right.
is, and I know that you've passed us on some very detailed emails about the facts that are going on there, and we
Could I
did.
have just two of my clients say a couple of words?
Sure, yes, and what I'll do
Bob
is,
Denholtz or
we
Elizabeth?
are going to bring that on under the.
That's going to be an agenda item in a little bit, Ms.
Yeah.
Kennedy, if you can.
Oh,
if you
I'm
can
sorry,
hold.
I didn't know it was okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
Then
no,
wait.
you may have just missed that. Also, we have some new people, so I wanted to quickly acknowledge, I think Margot just joined. And who's another council member. But to your point, yes, as Marcelo was saying, we have received your emails, and I think
Yes,
many
I
of
will
us
not
responded
repeat
to your
myself when
emails.
my time
But
comes.
we will talk about that in a second. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anthony's on too, Anthony and Mark.
Yes. So again, any other public items that you want, any public comments that are non-agenda items? Anybody want to,
Yes, Anthony Witherspoon is also on. I wanted to acknowledge him. Yeah.
Barry White, you have your hand up?
Is it time for, I have a public comment on the Playhouse. Is that appropriate now?
No, we have that on the agenda. We'll be speaking about it shortly. It's on the agenda.
Okay, okay, fine, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have any other new comments they want to make? Non-agenda? Okay. Let's move on real quick then, and we'll go to the next items here. So the first new business comment item is the candidacy motion. We have two items. We at the Village Council have come up with a resolution letter regarding there's some questions brought up about eligibility of some of the council members. We will be posting the formal letter back onto the website, which is the Village Council has gone ahead and issued a statement that basically following some inquiries from neighbors questioning the integrity of the recent election, we have confirmed that all elected council members have submitted notarized applications and copies of their driver's license matching addresses that are within boundaries outlined in the bylaws. So this statement was basically a resolution we passed, which passed 5 yes votes to 2 no votes. And we're asking if anybody has any other issues about that concern to please submit it in writing onto the Village Council to the coconutgrovevc@gmail.com. So that's one item that we want to discuss. And then also, because there has been vacancies now on the Village Council, 2 of the members have resigned since the elections. And there's again, I'll open it up to the other council members. There's in an effort to fill these seats. I do want to make one comment that based on our bylaws, the process to bring on new vacancies is to receive applications, review by the council members, and the council members can then vote on on who we decide to bring on to the council. So if I can open up to any other council members have any comments or motions they want to make on that, I can open up to the council members.
I just wanted to add that, yes, that being in the bylaws, however, I think it has been suggested that since we just followed a election, right, which is not but more than 30+ days old, that residents have already spoken and voted for additional members. One of the suggestions was to go to the 2 next elected two people that got the highest votes on from the 17 candidates.
So what I suggest, not to skirt our bylaws, is just informally ask those 2 people to make applications. Ask them if they're still interested in taking on the position, And we can also open up for other people. And then we decide if we believe that the next two are in line or want to and should take it. That way we comply with our bylaws regulations. And I think we don't have to then change the resolution to that and do it again. But that's what I would suggest. And that way we keep in line with our current bylaws, if that's okay. Anybody else?
I agree with that. I think we can still do both. We'll be serving both purposes by doing it that way and staying within the bylaws. If anybody objects, they can, say so now. I think we'll stay in compliance by doing it that way.
Sounds good. Who should reach out? Do you want me to reach out, or should a certain person reach out?
So what we can do is, we should just I know that Pastor Bryant was one. I don't remember who the next person in line is, but I think what we should do is just follow our guidelines, put out an announcement that if anybody wants to be considered for the vacancies and have them apply. So we could probably put it on our website, have them go ahead and apply, which is a very simple, we can put the same application out there. And then, once we get the applications in, we give it about a week or, whatever dates you guys think are proper. And then we make an announcement. And that way we keep with the rules, right? And that way it's clean. So why don't we go ahead and we'll put that out there. I can reach out to the current ones, but we should also announce that the vacancies are available to the public.
Marcelo, may I ask a question?
Yes.
Did you have a similar incident occur in your last term where someone resigned and the persons that was in line from the election results was immediately given those positions, so to speak?
Yeah, so what happened is this, since the beginning of the Coconut Grove Village Council, the process was to announce it, receive applications. The prior village council, not the one we just finished, the one before that, changed those bylaws to make it so that it's always the following person in there. The problem became that we had one vacancy after 1 year, we had another vacancy in the second year, and by almost the end of the third year, we had another one, and that next person was not available, didn't live in the areas. So we thought it wasn't a good rule. So we went back and voted and changed it to the original classification, which is that applications be made. So currently the bylaws state that applications be made. It's not just the next person in line.
Great. Thank
So
you.
we reverted the rules back to that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. That's kind of takes care. I don't know if we have any confirmation from
Can somebody mute? We're getting a lot of feedback.
But it's got to put yourself on mute.
Yeah, I don't know if-
Marcelo, excuse me, Marcelo.
Yes.
Marcelo, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Kenny.
I don't know if you're reading the chat, but right after the public comment period, someone asked a question about the shooting on Bird Road. And is that on the agenda?
It is not. I know responded to Dan.
It was not on the agenda. We just, Christine, if you would like to speak on that, please do. We just had public comment before. It was not part of the agenda, but if you'd like to say something about that, please, that would be appropriate.
Hi, and thank you. I'm just really concerned about what happened on Bird and Mary, and wanted to get any insight and just, kind of talk about what we can do as residents here with the City of Miami Police and make sure that never happens again.
One comment I can say that, in the past, we had a member from the police force come and make a quick presentation to the village council when requested. They'd give us stats, the commander would come. I know that HODA meeting has that also taken place. And what we can do is maybe reach out and see if we can get statistics from the police department, have somebody come and talk about what they're doing about it. Maybe we can put that on the next agenda and see if we can have them come to our meeting. And
Yeah, I made one inroad to that, Marcelo. I made a question about that at City Hall, so I'll forward back to see what their response is. I already made a call about that.
Okay, very good. Yes, I hope it's a one-off. We had a very good record going on for quite a few years in Coconut Grove area. The crime was down quite a bit. So hopefully this is a one-off item, but thank you for bringing it to our attention and we'll follow up on it.
I think that, you know, it's important to state that, you know, there has been a spike in crime nationwide. You know, as you may have been hearing on the news, you know, following the pandemic. You know, we don't talk about it enough, but the mental health crisis in the country is severe, as well as the economic pressure that people are feeling. So it's important to, you know, to be cautious, but we'll be looking into it.
Thank you. It was just, you know, terrifying, the time that it occurred and kind of the way it occurred. I live very close, and it was just like a shooting spree. It could have hit anyone. And so it's just something that's very concerning. And I really haven't heard much follow-up. There's a lot of speculation that it occurred at a short-term rental, but I haven't seen anything, you know, from a credible source. So thank you for following up on it and for your attention.
So I'm going to quickly jump before we get into other discussion items. I'm not sure if we have any of the Commissioner Regalado's office, Congressman Salazar's office on the line with us today.
Rebecca Wakefield said she would be at the next meeting, but could not make this one. That was the only person I heard from.
Okay. Okay.
Before we jump, this is Josh Patikin speaking. Sorry to chime in, but I had a comment on this subject. And I moved here with my family just about 4 months ago, right across the street from where the shooting took place.
Can you identify yourself, please? Who is this, please?
Yes, this is Josh Patinkin, and
Okay.
I'm a resident at 2958 Bird Avenue, right across the street from where the shooting took place. And obviously, you know, very upsetting for all of us. We just moved here from Chicago about 4 months ago and didn't expect this to happen. None of us did. I did speak with the police pretty substantively that evening because I was outside just making sure things were okay with our babysitter and our kids. And they did confirm it was a short-term rental, which to me, that's the heart of the issue here. I witnessed 15 kids, you know, age 17, 20, same age as the shooters or as the people that were shot. And they were clearly throwing a party at an $80 short-term rental. I understand that there is some effort in Miami to qualify short-term rentals as having to have a front desk in the lobby. And there's litigation with Airbnb. I wanted to kind of understand from this council what recourse we have as a village to ban short-term rentals, what laws we have available to us to try to remove these elements from our neighborhood, right? Because it's a real problem. And we have ability to change here that I think we could be exercising.
Yeah,
This is an agenda item too.
Yeah, it's an agenda item, Josh, and just to be very clear, technically speaking, those places, the zoning, it does not allow for these short-term rentals. Where you see these places happening, they're either duplex or multifamily or single family, and zoning does not allow. So if you know of one going on, you can report it, and it should be shut down. But again, that's the problem. That's what we're going to be talking about because the city is not proactively doing
Thank
it.
you very, very much. Just a potentially pivotal moment. Trial former police officers shot and
That
killed.
background noise off, please. So I think the next item was, call for village council candidate.
I would like to comment on the short-term rentals. They are not allowed and you need to
Sorry,
document.
Joyce, could you hold? That's also another agenda item. So I think we just
Sure.
need to, can we just move on with the
Yeah,
agenda?
Exactly. Let's move on to those. They're going to come up right now. So just give me one more minute to get through here. I believe the next item was about the village council candidate discussion. I believe we kind of tackled that already earlier. So we're gonna, if anybody has any comments on the village council candidate discussion, you may speak now. Anybody from the public or the council? All right, very good. We'll move on. So our discussion item, actually, short-term rentals is the first item on the discussions here. So again, just to not reiterate, but it is technically not allowed. And it's it's an issue that many cities are having with Airbnbs and that sort. And I think the committee that's taking this on, which would be the housing committee-
Marcelo, if I may, I think Dan can give us a report.
Yeah, I can give you a summary.
Because we just had a meeting with the city of Miami's attorney and the court enforcement department on this issue. And so we want to set the record straight. So I think having Dan report back, and can everyone mute themselves, please? We're getting some feedback, which is making it difficult to hear what's going on. Liz? Yes, thank you. Go ahead, Dan.
Okay, this is going to be very, very brief because it's a complicated issue, but I've dealt with this for about the last 2 years. So Hernan and I put it on our agenda. As he said, we had a meeting with the assistant city attorney, as well as with code enforcement, maybe about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And what we will be doing is we will be putting together a series of documents that will include the zoning in Coconut Grove, because there are a few areas where you can have them, but most areas where it's single family, you cannot have them. And then number two, we'll put together a short process on one page that gives due process to everybody. And that will include who the contacts are at the city attorney's office, as well as with code enforcement. I've gone through this a number of times in my neighborhood with orchestrated efforts on short-term rentals. So we will put that together, process, contacts, zone, and then we'll inform everybody about it. And the second thing that Hernan and I did was both the city's attorneys and the code enforcement agreed to be a guest one night on a subsequent meeting and address this to everybody that would like to listen to them. So we'll, that's just a summary so far where we are.
I think
Sorry,
also,
just as a follow-up to that.
I'm sorry. I also wanted to just state that it's important to distinguish the difference between the short-term rental issue and the code enforcement issue, right? So for instance, in the, it was referenced before in the Bird Road shooting that it might have come from a short-term rental. And so because there was a shooting, because at that particular location and it was a short-term rental, you know, just because it happened in one location doesn't mean that it has to happen everywhere. And it's important to be very cautious because there is also an affordable housing crisis that is going on, which has been, you know, coupled with COVID. A lot of people are facing very dire situations. Some people are being forced and have no other recourse but to live in short-term rentals. So, you know, it's the kind of bad apple kind of case, you know. I'm not sure if it's the best example, but it's kind of like, you know, with police brutality, right? You want to single out every police officer, right? So, you know, we have to, I just wanted to make sure that we're cautious. So what Dan and I, with the city attorney and the code enforcement people are trying to do is get clarity on how we can get better communication with them and for them to come out. What Dan is basically saying, and they have basically agreed, are willing to come and basically present what the code, what the standards, what the current laws and standards are and procedures. We're going to be posting that information on the website, and we will, you know, they're eager to come and speak to us in the new year. So we could probably invite them to come and speak to us at the next at the first meeting of the year. Go ahead. Thank you.
Sorry, just as a follow-up to that, I know you mentioned that there are some areas where short-term rentals are allowed. I know you will be releasing this information, but do we know if the area in which the shooting occurred is one of those areas where short-term rentals are allowed?
But usually it has to do with where you have apartments and hotels versus solely having single-family housing.
This is Josh Patinkin again. Sorry to interject. It is allowed in this dwelling. It's zone T4L, which allows for lodging and thus short-term rentals.
Yeah, one issue which we will include is the issue of the police is always brought in, and that the police cannot stop short-term rentals. They can stop loud noises, partying, people being dangerous, but it's two separate issues, but often you have to tackle it together. In the case that I had over here, I had the commander, code enforcement, and the city attorney working together, and they were extremely effective. So that's what we'll try to outline in the coming months.
Okay, great. I think that the next few items are all housing and zoning committee items. Hernan, if you want to
Maybe
take.
I just wanted to say, just so maybe, and I don't know if this is going to assuage Josh, but one of the things that's going to be posted is, for instance, contact information to the local code enforcement, as well as the local, I don't want to misspeak, Dan, but somebody.
Yeah, the assistant city attorney, and I'll include the commander's phone numbers too.
You're talking about like the
Sorry, can you mute yourselves?
Put yourselves on mute.
Can you mute yourselves, please? So Josh, so that information will be put on there because, you know, obviously the issue there is getting to somebody that can get somebody out there quickly, right? And so, you know, this is the importance of having eyes on the street, right? Like, you see this stuff going on, you can be the first person to call if you know who to call and get somebody out there, you know, before something happens. Hey, there's loud music, or I'm seeing, you know, a questionable situation that can be addressed. So, you know, in the interim, you know, we just have to, I think, establish better communication is the best way that we can try to address this moving forward. I hope you agree, Josh.
2 points I'd like to make before we move, if I may. This is Joe. Be careful with the issue of the police being called when it's either criminal or civil. And when it's civil, the police, as Dan made reference to, they can only address the issues that are criminal, like music and different issues. When it's civil, they really can't address it. Secondly, I'd like to make sure that residents be careful right now, because as Hernan mentioned, tensions are high with people not having money, holiday time, not being able to eat, not having places to stay. And so escalations can happen quickly and people can get hurt. We don't want, you know, any other issues or injuries to happen because you approach somebody too aggressively. Let's be careful and make sure we're within compliance, and maybe get back and have a way. I think we need to have a way we can address this, Hernan and Dan, so that residents can know how to approach somebody if they see something they believe is wrong.
Josh, did you want to say something, Joshua? No, I don't think.
I'd like to say something.
Bro. Yeah, no. Yeah, Linda, he's selling pies. That's it. Don't worry about that. Okay.
Go ahead. She wants to say something. Go ahead, ma'am.
Yes, I'd like to say something. I'm a longtime Grove resident, and we recently got a short-term rental in a residential neighborhood, and they were bringing in prostitutes. And what we were told, and I hope Hernan can help us with this, what we were told is to take pictures and document what's going on, which we have done. And then you go to the code enforcement board. So it's not an easy process for a resident to pursue this. It's difficult, and it's affecting the residential neighborhood around this place. It is really disgusting, and we have to fight it. We have to fight it. So this is something we need to educate our residents on, so they know where to go and what to do.
Thank you, ma'am. And what is your name?
That's exactly what we're going to do.
What is your name, ma'am? By the way.
Joyce Nelson.
Joyce Nelson, a longtime resident.
Yes, I couldn't. Okay, now I see you there. It's just I'm looking at the thing here. Okay,
We'll
Ms. Nelson,
make all of that a part of it, of the process. I didn't think we would go this long in this one, but it is as you say, but you have to do things a little bit more cautiously. It's not that hard to do. You do have to go on and get screenshots to prove that they're doing short-term rental. That's easy to do. It takes about half an hour
Well, what I wanted to make a point though, that there's two separate things, right? That's because one thing is documenting that, right? To, you know, basically demonstrate and get code enforcement out, right? But if there's criminal activity, then, you know, then you can call the police. You understand? So I just want to make sure that that's also pointed out, that, you know, one thing is to, you know, short-term rentals, obviously you have to somehow get to the property owner that is making these rentals to put them on notice to be more cautious, hopefully, right? If not, be shut down. But if there is something happening that is putting people in imminent danger at that moment, then certainly call the police. You know, that's two different things. Just want to point that out.
And before we bring anybody on else to talk about this, I'm not gonna close it off, but again, we can't spend this much time on all these are items for us to just review and know we're tackling them on, because we'll never get done with the agenda today. So I want to ask everyone that, yes, make your comments. We'll take notes, and then we'll be diving deep into each one at a later meeting, or else we're never going to get through this whole list. But
and I'd also like to remind people that there's a chat, right, tool on Zoom. So if you feel like you have something that you would like to, you know, that needs to be stated, you know, please put it there. Dan, maybe you can copy things from there. There's a way, I think, you can copy down the information from the chat. If that can't be done in this meeting, then certainly we'll get training on that, you know, so that we can incorporate it as part of the next meeting. We certainly don't want to, and I think that that's a really good way, maybe to address additional issues that, you know, people might, you know, additional comments that people might want to make. You know, that might be an appropriate way to handle that. So we can kind of table that for now and keep on moving on the agenda. And so have everyone.
Just one final follow-up to this. What is the city council's ability when it comes to changing zoning bylaws in regards to short-term rentals? Do they have the capability of making changes?
Oh, the city council or the village council?
Village council, excuse me.
The village council, no. You know, we're basically, you know, we can let our commissioner know what the issues are, but ultimately they're going to discuss these issues on the days. And that's where the decisions will be made.
Yeah, so we are an elected advisory board to District 2 Commissioner Ken Russell. That's technically our position. And we try to pass resolutions and be the funnel of the ears and eyes of the residents, and bring the issues that are most compelling to us, pass resolutions, and try to, you know, lobby to enforce those at the commission level. So the next 4 or 5 agenda items are all from the Housing and Zoning Committee. Hernan, I'm going to ask if you can, and again, he will open up for public comments. Just please, you know, state the items that if anything of the specific ones you have any information on, but each one of those are going to be, you know, parsed out and put as detailed discussion items. I don't know, Hernan, if you want to take those items on and just save a quick summary of them. It's after the short-term rentals. We've got the announcement of recent waivers, leaf blower noise ordinance, NCD2 revisions, the Douglas and Grand development, the WASA property status, and the CRA update. Anything else you want to add, Hernan, as the director of the committee?
Not currently, no.
Okay. If anybody has any other items of Housing and Zoning Committee that you would like to add or discuss, I'll open the floor up now.
I would maybe say one thing. We are, you know, just getting out of the doors, so to say, you know, with the election and the end of the year. So I think in 2022 we'll be tackling additional issues. Certainly, I think somebody made reference to. Can you please mute yourself? Somebody made reference, for instance, to the redistricting, right? And that's something that is certainly going to need to be addressed in the new year because that's coming forward. The rezoning of, you know, NCD and all that is still going to be on the table. And then additional issues, everything from, you know, what's happening with sidewalks to the trees, to what's happening with the Varick Park pool. And many of those other kinds of issues we will start to address in the new year. So I just wanted to point that out. It's not that that we're not aware that other issues are going on, but as we're kind of just getting you know, acquainted with the council responsibilities and duties, we'll be taking on and figuring out how to address that in the new year. Thank you.
so I want to make just two comments then. I know that this is the time when we had visitors from the Grove Isle that wanted to make a quick comment. We have detailed emails about the items, but if you want to make a quick comment, and also for the council members, where do you think that the redistricting, under which committee should that be titled? You think it's housing and zoning, or is it outreach? Is it where do
They got to be housing and zoning, no, if they're going to divide the city, try to divide it up.
Okay, we'll keep it under housing and zoning then. Residents from the Grove Isle, anybody want to make a quick comment that we, I know Rosario, you had spoken before. You're muted,
Yeah.
Rosario.
Okay, I'd like to jump in.
Yes, I'd like to call on Bob Denholz, one of our residents.
Okay.
Yes, I've been a resident there for 23 years. It's appalling what's happened. From everything that I've been told and understand, and Rosario's team that's checked out all the permits, I think there's 40 permits. They haven't been issued properly. The city has totally ignored the 77 settlement agreement. And my biggest fear right now is what happened in Surfside. The building that they're proposing to put up is about 25 feet off our building, 25 feet off the corner of our building. And anything could happen. I don't care how careful they are. Our building was built in the 70s and it's a real risk. And on top of that, we have an aging community of residents and services such as fire and safety, EMTs, to get on that island with all these big trucks coming on and off and all the noise. It's just not right. I don't know how the city is even allowing it. One last thing, because I know you want me to talk quickly, I'm trying, is the platting. They don't have the right to build on that island because it hasn't been separated. It is one plat and they have to replat the island. And that has not been done. Developers have to replat, which means they got to make it two separate pieces of property. And it has not been done. So why are the city commissioners and the mayor sitting back and letting this happen? They all know about it because it's been presented. And the mayor just shakes his head and says, gee, I'll look into it. Nothing happens. It's very, very troubling. And I'm not the only one from Grove Isle on the meeting tonight, but
If I may just interject.
We had it. We had it in the Miami Herald this week. A lot of noise about it, and
Yeah.
I just hope somebody will help us fight this cause before it's too late, because they want to break ground next month, and that's got me.
Can I interject, Marcelo?
Go ahead.
You touched base on several things that I had a little bit of experience on the federal side. There, when you talk about senior citizens and environmental discrimination, that's a federal issue that supersedes the local issue. So you may need to reach out federally to get them involved, and that may be able to halt some of the zoning issues and agendas that might be coming up. That's what needs to be talked about. And the fact that Surfside just happened, they're very sensitive to those issues as well. So that I think, to discuss on the federal side what can happen in reference to, if you say, I don't know what the percentage of elderly or senior citizens are on Grove Isle, but there is a percentage and they take that very seriously. I dealt with an issue like that before in a different part of Florida. So I just wanted to add that to you. And I think this issue is of such grave magnitude that Rosario and Sir, we may need to address this like individually, because I don't think we can give you appropriate time right now. So Marcelo, maybe you can talk about, maybe we can address this or do a deeper dive in another way, so we don't just kind of short circuit them when they come on.
No, absolutely. I think what needs to be done is, and Bob and Rosario, this is what we are going to do. We're going to take these items and prioritize them for each of our committees, because obviously some are more time sensitive than others, and obviously it looks like yours have. We discussed briefly, we do have that detailed email from Rosario pointing out the big points. So I think you will be reached out to somebody from our Housing and Zoning Committee to maybe answer some questions that we have. And I think the best thing we can do is pass a resolution, identify the points, the factual points that we believe are the issues that, that we need to discuss with commissioners, and then help you guys bring that as a commission item. That's the best thing we can do. But I think it'll hold some weight if we do the research and then also pass a resolution, of demanding from the city what we're asking for, and team up that way.
What was it, Bob? What was the time frame, Bob? Did Bob have a time frame on when it was supposed to break ground?
I was told they're going to break ground next month.
Well, what we can do is, I'm sorry, but we can quickly search and see what permits are actually issued and what are active, and start with that. Because if, you know, 'cause they can't break ground without the active permits, and we'll see exactly which permits have been issued already.
And please keep in mind, if this developer can do it on the island, he'll do it someplace else in Coconut Grove too. It is, according to Rosario's team, the permits were not issued properly, and the island has not been split into two plats. So go from there.
And through the chair, if I may just interject, the mayor, we did have a meeting with the mayor and every department head. There were 15 or 16 people, including chief of police and fire. And we asked the questions and nobody could answer our questions.
Yes, unfortunately, that's not.
With all due respect to that, Bob and Rosario, I think, you know, not to demean anything that you're saying, but there are many other examples in our community of projects that have been approved, you know, questionably, you know, from the kissing houses to the, what is it, the bus trolley depot, you know, so this is a common practice. And so I'm just bringing that up to, you know, to address the fact that this is a consistent thing that's happening.
Through the chair, may I?
We can support, we can certainly try to figure out how to support your efforts, but I think that there's a larger issue at play because, you know, if it's not you, then it's going to be somebody else, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's certainly something there to be said about enforcement, right? And figuring out why these things are being allowed to happen.
Through the chair, may I just respond quickly? It is a man-made island. That's what differentiates this problem. In a faulty bridge, dilapidated seawall, and it's just disastrous.
Well, let me just, I'm gonna interject here. We're gonna move on, but I know that what's most important, which usually takes most time and is most important for the village council, is to put together all the facts, right? Once we get all the facts together,
right?
Always two sides of the story. There's always, so we have our job is we'll reach out to everyone that is involved in this, and you'll be one of them, Rosario, and some other people, to make sure we get all the facts right. When we get all the facts right, we can then discuss it and try to pass a resolution as soon as possible. So, but
I wanted to acknowledge Linda, please. Linda has her hand raised. Linda, can you unmute yourself, please?
Me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good evening to all of you. As a former councilwoman, I stay engaged. Anything housing is an interest to me, especially when it represents or affects Village West. I ask that all the members that live in Village West pay close attention, please. Last Friday, the City Commission held a meeting and it was regarding single-family home replacement. First advocacy that I've heard of out loud. This project has been literally on their books for more than 15 years, and not one home has been replaced in Village West simply because there's no cookie cutter, number one, and two, the NCD2. Outside of our district, our area, many of those homes have been replaced under this program. For the last 15 years, if they only built one home a year, we would have 15 new homes. I would ask, and I was surprised that I did not see council members at that meeting. And I'm asking, that was the first reading. I'm asking you, all of you represent all of Coconut Grove, but those that represent Village West, I'm asking you to put on your calendar and be present for the January 24th commission meeting for its second reading. If you cannot attend, I ask all of you to consider a resolution in support of the home replacement program. Many people have lost their homes simply because they had structural damage from hurricanes and or maybe other issues, but primarily I was attacked by Hurricane Irma 4 years ago. And this program is vital, not just to me. I share the cookie. When I find out about it, I share it. I
Okay.
have not been able to advocate because it has not come to fruition. But please get behind that program. It's also a line item that I attended budget meetings asking that it not be deleted before this community could take advantage of it like other communities have. Not only
Very good.
did they keep the line item, they increased the amount from 150,000 to 250 so that our contractors or people that build homes would have some sort of an incentive. Also on that item was increase in funding home repairs. A group here in Village West, Rebuilding Together, has rehabbed over 50 homes. I was glad to see that happen, and they're looking to help other families that are in need. And I hope that all of you will support these initiatives and stand up and have a voice to it. And if you have a housing committee, it's not just about new homes to be built. It's about programs that are already in existence that are not being worked on. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Increase the time out of respect for you and all the time you give to the community. We'll definitely look into it. Okay. We're gonna move on. But thank you for bringing that to attention. And for sure, we'll look at that home replacement program on January 24th or before that.
Thank you.
The next Transportation Mobility Committee, I believe it's also Hernan. We had two things on there. Oh, I'm sorry. Elizabeth, did you have something you want to say before we move on?
Yes, my name is Elizabeth Tamayo, and I am also a resident at Grovile. And what I wanted to point out is that in my experience and the team of Rosario is that the city has favored the developer in many ways, making it like an uneven circumstance where they're heard, were not, their answer were not, they found solutions for them, not for us. And so right now at this point with what happened on Chaplin Tower, I'm very worried that the city might want to rush our recertification of the 40 years, even if we're not ready, just because the developer wants to start the groundbreaking, soon, early next year. So that really worries me, that they skip processes.
Understood. We're definitely, I have made notes. We're definitely going to look into it, and we're going to put the facts together and try to get a statement out to you guys. And we'll definitely reach out to you all to make sure that we're doing things right. But we got to get the facts out. Thank you very much.
Yes, we've heard everyone's comments on Grovile, and we understand the importance. We also have the emails. So at this time, we'd like to table that item so that we can keep addressing the other items on the agenda. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So the two items on Transportation Mobility Committee was the reconstruction of Douglas Road on Ingram and scooter position for and against. I can make a quick comment on the reconstruction of the Douglas and Ingram Highway that is still pending. Some answers back from Miami-Dade County to some of those local neighbors. So I'll continue to follow up on that, but there's really no updates on that one. And if anybody wants, I know that Dan answered some questions about the scooter. Just to clarify, the scooter program was not canceled yet. It's still on the trial program. Once they wrap up that trial, they'll see what is coming up with the city. But I don't know exactly when it's on the agenda for the commission, if anyone else does, but it's going to be coming back soon.
End of January.
End of January. So I don't know if that committee wants to come, bring some more details so we can pass a resolution for and against or conditions before that comes up. I think would be a good thing for the committee to tackle. Any other comments from any council members on those two items?
Marcelo, I'm sorry. Can you repeat what the specific motion is to the committee?
No, I was saying, no, I'm saying it would probably be a good idea to create information and propose a resolution. That way, when we get to the commission, we have a resolution we can present for and against conditions, right?
Thank you.
So that's what I would suggest. The next items fall under the civic.
And
Parks
I just wanted to ask, would that status suffice for the folks that are in the meeting here interested in Grove Isle? Do you see that as a viable solution? Like, you know, in terms of, I like to think about things in terms of actionable items, right? And so what can this body do to support your efforts? Is that what you think? Is that something you think would help you in your efforts?
Yeah, I think that having a resolution officially approved and voted on by the council is, you know, and that means that we've looked at the facts.
I understand. I just want to make sure that if that's what they want. Rosario, Elizabeth, Bob,
Yes.
Barry.
Yeah.
Yes. Excellent. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I had my hand up, Marcelo.
Sorry, Hank, I didn't see it there. Go ahead.
I use the hand signal. If you go to the bottom, if you go to the bottom of your screen, there's an icon called reactions, and you can raise your hand to speak. But
I don't see you're up, buddy. Go ahead. I don't see yours up on my screen. Sorry,
I may have lowered it. Anyway,
right.
I'm just reflecting as a former council member that there are some issues that are much more pressing and time related than a lot of the things we normally dealt with, like the Grove Isle issue. What the council can do is meet, have an ad hoc meeting, a special meeting, and pass a resolution without waiting for the next month's meeting. The next month's meeting may be too late for some things. I just wanted to say that I really like the idea that the council is going to be in there making the issues known and passing resolutions, but just keep that in mind. You could do it without waiting for the next meeting.
Understood. Thank you, Hank. Yes, we discussed that, and I think that's the idea. Again, this agenda is to itemize all the items that we're taking on. That way, each committee can try to schedule appropriately based on the most time pressing and the least time pressing, and move these things on. But they will definitely be meeting. Thank you for bringing that up. Again, so there's 1, 2, 3. There's 6 items in the Civics Parks committees. And one of them that I know there's some people here talking about is the Playhouse new plan. A quick recap that the village council had previously issued I think 3 resolutions over time about the Playhouse, and it was always based on what the current plan was, and we do have a resolution out there. There is now a new plan that was brought in there that was some revisions. And I'm not sure when it's coming to commission again, but I know that I've been some of the activist groups for the Playhouse has reached out to us about the new plan, and we've attended some of us have attended some of the meetings. If anybody wants to make any comment on that new plan, I'll open up to there now, and then
Barry White has his hand raised. Barry.
Yeah, we will be diving again in detail there, but please, any comments you have to make right now.
Thank you very much. In 2000, the Coconut Grove Playhouse was responsible for 40% of Grove business revenue. The Playhouse generated $25 million annually in sales. The current county plan, as championed by Commissioner Regalado, is designed to keep patrons on the property with its own shops and restaurants, leaving Grove businesses out in the cold. And it only has 300 seats. Economically, it would be a disaster for Grove businesses and employees. And the plan would cause the Playhouse to lose its National Historic Register designation and related funding. And it would be a theatrical non-entity instead of the once world-class theater it was. We would appreciate the opportunity to make a full presentation at a future meeting. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Barry. We will definitely have a a presentation. We'll put you on, again, we're organizing this. I'm not sure if anything is coming up, and I'll check on that because I was very involved in the previous one to see what kind of timeline we're looking at and get a presentation from your group as soon as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else, any council members from the Civic and Parks and Green Spaces Committee have any comments on that? Yes, Joe. go ahead.
I'd like to make maybe a 20-second comment. But Barry, I read your email in detail. I think that from an economic development standpoint, your numbers make a lot of sense. I went through a similar scenario in New York City with a very famous Apollo Theater, like the Playhouse Theater. And I think that we need to give your numbers some more attention. I'll be diving deeper into it, and I'll be getting back in contact with you, I'm sure, with many of the other, with the other colleagues as well.
Thank you very much.
That's it, Marcel.
Thank you. Yes. Yes, Marlene.
That's not clear. Are you presenting a new resolution for the council to consider on the Playhouse?
Based on that, I think we should, based on the new plan, Joe and all the, I think.
Based on the plan.
Yes. Well, right now.
We need to see the new plan first, right?
So there is really, yeah, let me clarify. So I think what we need to do is all the information of our prior resolution is on our website with a lot of details on it. And the only thing that has changed has been some minor architectural changes to the exterior of the unit. And I think we should then read our prior resolution, bring it to this council as new members, discuss it, and then pass an updated resolution. I think that would probably be the best thing for us to do.
Okay, and is there an opportunity that we can provide input when you're determining that prior to your meeting?
Yes, so what we'll do is we will have a discussion at that meeting specifically for that. And then if any of our council members require more information before, they'll reach out to you guys and get information. But then I think it's best to have the resolution passed in a public open forum where you guys can make a presentation also, and we can consider it at that time.
Fine, thank you.
Okay. So I don't know if there's any comments on some of the other items. We're talking about the Varick Park Pool, the encampments in the City of Miami Parks, and the Fuller Street closure permitting expiring. If there's any comments on that real quick.
Yeah, quick comment on the pool. I spoke to the commissioner in charge of all the parks for Miami, and they're doing a updated version to get back to us to give a latest information on what needs to be done for that pool quickly. We're going to be announcing. I'll wait for outreach to explain the other things, but there are some things that are interdependent on making sure that pool's up and running. So I'll explain later about the pool.
Very good. Thank you.
That's good. Oh my God.
So the
there was one other additional item that was brought to my attention by a neighbor, which is about the new construction at Tucker Elementary and concerns about how the proposed project at Douglas and Grand might potentially impact that. So apparently Tucker has already been planning for remodeling of one of their facilities, and so there's some questions there, and we were basically asked to see if we could investigate a little bit deeper into what might be going on there. So I just wanted to add that as another item, obviously for my committee to review, but just to let people know that if Linda, you may have heard about this as well. But if any other residents had concerns, just wanted to point out that that's been mentioned, and I just wanted to bring it to everyone's attention tonight.
Very good, thank you. The last committee is our environmental committee, chaired by Chris Barlotto. We have a few items there. The items, Chris, in case you're not got it in front of you, is be the review the chapter 17 of the city code. They're trying to, the chapter 17 is the tree ordinances. The city's proposing to make some changes to that. The overall grove canopy review and the waiver process management. I don't know, Chris, if you want to make any more comments to that about those items, or if anybody wants to add any items to that environmental committee. By the way, it's a new committee that we parsed off from Civic and Parks, which really deals with environmental issues. Chris, are you, can you hear us? There you go.
Yeah, sorry everyone, I'm carpooling as we speak. I hope everyone can hear me. Good evening.
Yes.
So I'll open up the floor to anyone if you have any comments on these or any other issues to bring to our attention, and then I can give a brief update on these issues.
So any public comments on those items? Okay, I don't see anybody with their hands up. Chris, if you want anything else about that, go ahead.
Sure, I think we can just say that we're working to both address potential revisions at the city level.
Mute yourself, please.
Joyce, can you mute, please?
Joyce, can you mute yourself, please?
Beautiful, beautiful.
Joyce, there you go. Go ahead, Chris, sorry.
I agree the moon is beautiful. Nevertheless, I would also like to talk about the tree ordinance on which we're discussing both the revisions proposed at the city level, which would weaken it, as well as a potential tree ordinance that we would put into place for our NCD in addition. That would make a little bit more strict regulations. And we'll report more on this in January. I think the other piece to discuss with everyone is related to trees, that we are reviewing permits that are currently able to be appealed. There are a few that expire on the 17th, some others that expire on the 24th. I haven't visited all of the sites, but if anyone has any concerns, please do let me know. I'll be finishing visiting those sites and then make recommendations to the committee and the council about places where we might want to file an appeal. There's really only one or two that might warrant that discussion, in my opinion.
Okay.
The final comment I'll make is that we did meet with the bid to talk about the environmental committee's activity relative to some of the businesses in the Grove, so that we can work together and collaborate and allow the businesses to be able to be marketed as being environmentally friendly. And we discussed some of the issues around that so that we can work together on that issue. That will leave open on the table and discuss more with any interested parties as we move towards the new year.
Very good. Thank you very much, Chris. Before we wrap up any final comments, I want to make a few items. This was a very unusual council this year, as from what I spoke to many people in the past, it's the first time where basically every single member is a new member other than myself. So usually you have, half or so stay on, so it's kind of easier to make the transition. Because of that, I was also the chair for 4 years running, which is the maximum that a person can hold a chair position.
Marcelo, before you close, can I?
I'm not closing it. I'm not closing it. Give me 1 minute.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
All right.
So, so what's on our agenda internally is I decided to stay on as chair just for these 2 months. So internally, we will be doing new elections internally for the positions. There'll be a new chair beginning next year. Just so happens that 2 of the people that resigned, one was the vice chair and one was the treasurer. So just to let everyone know that by the time January comes, we'll have an internal votes. And I would advise us, our council member, I know we got 2 holiday weeks coming up, but I think we should make some time aside to establish that so we can get better organized, because as you can see, our agenda is full. We've got to hit that ground running next year. So I would recommend that we internally start putting together maybe a meeting or a Zoom internally to try to make those positions applicable. At the same time, since we only have 7 council members now, maybe it's better to quickly first go ahead and ask for the applications to fill the 2 seats. And with those 2 seats filled, then we can go ahead and make appointments to the officers. So I'm not. That's my last comment. Go ahead. Anybody has a comment about that? Or
I think that makes a lot of sense, Marcelo. I think that we need to quickly appoint the replacements so that they can also have a say.
Yeah.
In terms of how we're moving forward collectively. And I do agree with also, within the next 2 to 3 weeks, having scheduling a specific meeting to address, the selection of a new chair and addressing potentially other of these items.
Yes,
The
what I would
committee
propose,
has-
what I would propose is, look, we're in a public meeting right now. So we're announcing that we are taking applications for anyone that is looking to apply to fill those seats. I think the quickest the quickest manner to get this efficiently going, we do have our general email, our Gmail account. And I think that if you would, anybody out there that knows anybody who's interested in a seat, to please email us at coconutgrovevc@gmail.com. We will also reach out to the individuals that ran and weren't elected based on counts. And then I think we should, we'll put on the website that maybe we could call a deadline for applications to be coming in within the next week or so, and then try to move that on quickly. Joe, you had some comments?
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly go over the outreach committee. We didn't touch base on that. I just wanted to inform everybody before we finalize what was going on in reference to outreach. I'm going to be letting everyone know we're going to be meeting twice a month, and I'm going to be updating everyone where we'll be meeting. Right now, tentatively, it will be at the Sailing Club, but I'm going to get a schedule from the GM there. So that's going to happen. Also, in reference to the pool, we'll be announcing, I've been working on scholarships for children in the West Grove, and hopefully it'll be 50 or 60 scholarships. Some of them will be with the Sailing Club, but one of the prerequisites is that the children have to know how to swim. That's where the interdependence of having the pool open took place. I know Hernan's child swam, and he had to drive quite a distance to make her swim. And sometimes that actually has the family make a different choice on whether they do it. And there were some Olympians who came from the Grove area. So we'll be, I'm waiting for a response from city government in reference to the real final details that are happening right now in reference to seeing what we could do to facilitate making that pool get open. Also, the ambassador program, I've signed up quite a few people. I'll be recruiting and announcing, I guess, to everybody who they are. I think all of us are supposed to sign up ambassadors. Is that correct, Marcelo?
Yes.
Or recruit them. So that I'll be updating you as well in the near future by the time our next meeting is who they all are. That if anyone has any other questions, I'll take it at that time in reference to outreach. There are other organizations that have similar synergies, and I'm going to be looking at probably 4 or 5 within the Grove to present back to see how everyone feels. But there are many people with similar interests that have resources that we need to pool our resources to make us more effective and productive. And so I've been actively looking at that, and I'll present back at a later time.
Very good. Thank you, Joe. I'll open up to any other council members. Any comments?
Yes, thanks for that report back, Joe. That's really important. And I just wanted to point out that, in the new year, the Housing and Zoning Committee, we're also going to be looking at, holding regular meetings and announcing, when those meetings will be, so that, people can come and attend those meetings and, provide their feedback, so that there will be more than one avenue, hopefully, for some of these issues to be addressed. Okay. That's my time. Go ahead.
Joe, very
Yes,
quickly,
sir.
when you look into that pool, look into the fact that that pool may not be built to be reopened in lieu of being totally torn down. Because
Yes.
as you look at it, the inside of it, it would take probably more to rebuild it than to tear it down. So it could be a situation where that pool will not be reopening at all because of the way they have prepared to not rebuild it, as far as resanding the inside, making it more safe oriented, so to speak. So on your consideration, please give that some thought.
Absolutely.
What's the next
I'm sure-
move if that pool is not open at all?
Yeah, I'm sure that they'll tell me that. And I think if they don't tend to remodel it, then they have to rebuild it. But we do need a pool. So, but whichever way they go, we just want them to move expeditiously.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Very good. Anybody else? Any comments, Margot?
Yes, I wanted to talk to Joe. You have an item here about the Chamber of Commerce events. Is that coming up?
It might, we're working on that right now. So if it is a chamber, it'll just be a personal event. I'm doing a toy drive, and there's a toy drive that's going on right now for the West Grove kids. So far, I've got like I wanted to get 75. This is a personal item, but I'll touch base on it since you mentioned it. So far, I wanted to get 75 toys. I've got over 150. So I'll update everyone with emails. Right now, the toy drive itself, I think, is on the 22nd. It'll be at a residence and, I'm sorry, a business on Douglas Avenue. And look for emails and look for signs going around. If it's going to take place, it will take place within the next days because time is short. But I will be updating everybody about that. But the toy drive definitely is taking place. And it may be some other things too, but keep your emails open and watch for signs because it'll be forthcoming quickly.
Okay, and just to let you know about the website, as well as emails, etc. Dan and I are going to be meeting with Hank next week to start moving all those things over out of Hank's hair, as he would like. So he wants to be freed up for that, and we're going to make some decisions on how to move forward.
Okay. Again, any other?
Marcelo, one question on the ambassador program. Do we have a form where we capture people's information to do that?
We did have not only a form, but a little info sheet outlining what it entails and an invitation. It is, I believe it's on our website. I'll look for it.
Okay.
But it's a little blurb on it.
Maybe I missed it. I saw one from Larissa, but it was more for being on the email list. So I don't think that was it. So
okay, I'll look back. We do have.
I'll look too.
We put on there.
Chris has a comment, and then I'll refer to some of the chats that are coming up.
Chris.
Yes, before we close, I did want to comment on something earlier while I was driving that was mentioned with regard to receiving applications. I do want to agree. I had a motion on the table regarding filling the vacant seats, and I agree with the procedure to follow the bylaws. I will note that I'm very encouraged to see that the next two people on the list did attend this meeting, and I fully encourage them to put in their applications promptly so that we can move forward with this matter.
Very good, thank you. Any other council members have any comments before I open to the public again? I see you, Linda. Give me a second. Nobody? Okay, go ahead, Linda.
Yes,
I'm sorry, Linda. 1 second. I'm sorry, Linda. Just 1 second before you go on. I just wanted to mention, I'm seeing some conversation about the Playhouse, and just to correct, right, just to, per Marcelo's point about our role as the council is to look for facts, right, and bring them back to everyone. So Marlene is saying it sounds like there was a new Playhouse plan since the council is proposing a new resolution. No, what we in fact stated was that we will be looking asking everyone to please look back at the resolution that was already framed, and that we are going to be taking a look at the new plan to see if there are any changes that might require the council to restate its position in a new resolution. If Rachel is saying that that the plan is 99.9% the same, then at the time that we review that and come to that same conclusion, we may decide to not push any further resolution. So that was one thing, I think. And the other point that was made that I thought was interesting was Marlene pointing out that the council website is not secure. It needs to be converted to an HTTPS URL. So that goes in line with kind of like what we were discussing in terms of new standards of operation and procedure. We'll also be putting forward a new website and determining, putting out a new format for how to communicate, basically. I just wanted to point that out. Thank you.
Yes, and Linda, before I get to you real quick, I think items like this one, this is unique, which is this Playhouse, right? This Playhouse is going to have a lot of discussions and public comments on it, as well as the commission decision. I do think it's very important, since everyone is basically new, that we do review, that everyone reviews the previous resolution. I can obviously bring back some other members or also myself to give a background on why we passed the resolution or our feelings were. And then I think it's important for the new council members to either endorse it or change it, because we'll be speaking on its behalf, right? And I think since it's all brand new council, it'd be important to make sure that this council feels the same way as the other one did, or it doesn't, right? So definitely something that we should bring up internally, and I can help with bringing up the facts. It'll be quick because we have it all here. We'll go from there.
Thank you, Marcelo. Linda?
Yes.
Please.
Yes, I just wanted to say that I agree with Chris on the new members that are to come in. You should at least allow those that did participate early on with their application, participated in a drive, give them opportunity to say yay and nay that they might want to serve. I say to all of you, and I commend all of you for stepping up to serve, but remember the integrity of this organization is at large. What we do, what we say, how we act is at large. People are depending on you to trust, and we built that trust, and it wasn't easy. Don't let it slip away from you. Be firm in what you do and what you say, all of you, in whatever capacity you can. I think while you all have made decisions, moving on is great, but I think a communique to at least the community leadership, how you manage to present to us your membership and your rhyme or reason about moving forward. There are questions still left unanswered that many are asking me and others and the whole blah, blah, blah. We want to always be trustworthy, believable. Our integrity is important. Please reach out to the leadership, sit down with them on a meeting if you need to, and just say, hey, we are moving on, and this is why. Because it's the people that voted you in, and they have a right to know, have their questions answered. And we want to answer them as honestly as we can and be supportive of what it is you all are trying to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Well, I think that unless there are any other comments, I usually try to wrap things up. If anyone have any comments or from anyone in the council or public, anybody have anything else to say before we wrap the meeting up?
I raised my hand. This is Hank. Sorry, you don't want to see what I'm looking like right now. I've had a bad day, but you can hear me, I hope.
Yeah.
Thank you, Linda, for what you just said. A lot of us who were on the previous council really worked hard for 4 years, and some were on the council even before that. So it really is an important responsibility. And as you all surely know, the council has no legal authority over anything, but the council can exercise moral authority and be a funnel for community views and express those views to decision makers. I want you to know that the Coconut Grove Spotlight, which I edit, was launched by the Village Council, and then it became independent. It's now an independent nonprofit, but I'm going to write an article in tomorrow's issue about this meeting today, which I want to tell you, I'm very impressed by how you're handling things. However, a lot of people want to know why those two people resigned. I have asked them to write a brief statement about why they resigned. Javier and Elena. I don't know whether they will even respond to me. They may not, but at least I made the effort. I would like to try to put that behind us as quickly as possible, but I do think it's incumbent on the Spotlight as an instrument of community journalism to present those views. Thank you.
Thank you, Hank. I think that what you will see on our website, and I can email you a copy of basically the resolution that we passed regarding the item that you're mentioning. I think that can be made, public on your, and that's our position at this time. And again, if any other resident has an issue with that or wants us further investigate, we request that the please reach out to us.
I have a quick comment on that, Marcelo.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I think there, in reference to you, Hank, emails and different information that comes in. I guess we'll discuss how we address each email, because there are citizens on all over the place with many different issues and concerns. So I think the council needs to discuss which concerns we're going to address and which ones we're not. Either we're going to address them all or we're going to address none. So that's something that we'll talk about as a council. But I did want to make that reference to you specifically, Hank.
Okay. Any other comments from anybody, public or council person?
Hey, Marcelo, it's Rachel. I just have a quick, very boring question. So last week there was a resident on Lincoln Ave who appealed his tree removal permit. And to make a very long story short, the poor house has a 13-inch tree growing right through its corner of the house. It was sort of a sapling when they moved in and so on and so forth. Anyway, I don't know what the outcome of the appeal was. His appeal was to ask for sort of forgiveness on having to pay into the tree trust fund because he doesn't have room on his property to mitigate the 13-inch tree. And so something popped in my head as I was talking to him, in that if you're homesteading a piece of property, I feel like there should be some kind of forgiveness on paying into the tree trust fund. And you can always kind of close that loophole, right? Because there's going to be some developer that asks a person to pull the tree permit before the sale of a property, but close that loophole by saying it has to be maintained, the homestead has to be maintained for 5 years or something like that. But I do feel like it's unfortunate when you do have a homeowner trying to do the right thing, their property is being damaged by the tree, and then here they are getting slapped with this extra money to pay for 2-inch and 3-inch trees to be planted around a site that they don't have room for. And in fact, whether it's true or not, he does kind of have a story that he planted a tree sort of center in his driveway about 5 years ago, anticipating that this 13-inch tree is going to have to come out at some point. So he was hoping that the city would sort of take that into account, that sort of pre-planning for the removal of this tree. Anyway, long story short, I don't know what the outcome of his hearing was. It was last week, but it sounds like it's something really easy, low-hanging fruit that we can add into the NCD, or whether it's the tree code that we want to sort of tweak, just to give some relief for those people who have homesteaded their property looking for tree permits.
Great, thank you. I think that's definitely something that we can bring up with Chris. And I think it's definitely something that would be very well accommodated in the NCD2 overlay, right? So we don't have to maybe tackle it at the Chapter 17 item, but I think since we live in a neighborhood conservation district, it would be a great bonus to do something along those lines in the NCD. But thank you for bringing that up.
And I just wanted to add that, this is something that we will definitely be revisiting in the near year, because a neighborhood conservation district means a lot of things, mainly conserving and, and adapting within some level of conservation. And that's really in question right now. So it's certainly, in my mind, as an urban planner, a priority that needs to be addressed, not just because of the scale of the zoning, as I see Chris is unmuting himself, but also because of how it's impacting, our tree canopy and all of that. So it's certainly issues that we will be tackling in the new year. I did want to point out that it is getting late in the evening. It is, the last meeting of the year. I know everyone is trying to get onto other things. Chris, I think, had another comment, and then, if we could move to maybe last comments and then adjourning, I think that would be best advised at this point. Thank you.
Yes, I don't see any other comments coming in. Chris, if you're good, I'll.
Yeah, I just wanted to say we're going to address this as part of our proposed revision within the NCD. I don't think it's anything that would make it through a revision to the citywide Chapter 17, but we can certainly place it in the NCD. I think what I would give you all as food for thought as we move forward is, what is the intent of a tree trust fund, and how can we better legislate the intent, which is if we don't have room on a property to replace the ecosystem services with any tree that might need to be removed, where can we then intervene to provide those ecosystem services within our neighborhoods? So think about that, everyone, and please email us with some ideas.
So in other words, if the tree can no longer be contained within the property, where else within the built environment can that tree fit? Should be in the right of way. Where can those trees
Not
fit?
necessarily on that property.
No, necessarily on the property. I'm just for elaboration, just to kind of put it out there. Okay.
Very good. I think it's an awesome last comment to leave us on, some environmental outlook for the future. And I want to thank everyone for a really successful 2021 year from the Village Council perspective, new elections, new people, and looking to work for everyone. And please get engaged. Please help us help you. Thank you very much. And I'll call the meeting adjourned.
I did just to address that issue and to that point that you've made and Linda's previous statement. Because as you said, there are 8 new members, we stand always, in my mind, on the shoulders of giants, right? We will be pulling you all in. We hope that you all remain engaged, and we'll be moving forward. But we certainly appreciate everything that you've done and paving the way for us to be able to be where we're at today. Thank you. And happy holidays, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.
Happy holidays to everybody.
All right, bye-bye.
Happy holidays.